Hey, thanks for tuning in again. This is Matt the Marine, and I'm hanging out at the gym tonight, just making some videos. I wanted to talk to you about a phrase that was once said to me repeatedly by my drill instructor when I was in boot camp at Parris Island. He used to tell us that many will pay for the sins of the few. And as time went on, I saw more than one example of how that was very true. From history, some of the most notable examples that I can recall are the story of Anne Frank. If any of you read the diary of Anne Frank, you know, if the guy that was hiding with them hadn't tripped in the middle of the night and made that noise when somebody was downstairs, they might have all lived through the war. And unfortunately, they got caught, and Anne Frank passed away in a concentration camp. And so, many people had heartache, and of course, Anne Frank lost her life because of the mistakes of one person. There are stories, if I remember correctly, during World War II of the Nazis tying up Jewish prisoners. Say perhaps they tied 10 together, and in the morning, if one of those prisoners had escaped, they would execute the remaining 9. So there again, you have a situation where many paid for the sins of the few. If any of you have seen the movie Unbroken, there was a scene in there where this one guy tried to escape. I think it was him and a couple of guys. And they ended up executing more people than just the ones that tried to escape. At least that's how I recall it. If I'm wrong, you can go ahead and correct me. But there you have many people paying for the sins of a few. When I watch a lot of YouTube videos and I read a lot of survival books, one of the things that I see lacking is teachings on survival psychology, teachings on survival leadership, and teachings on being selfless. Now, my favorite survival guide is called Hawk's Green Beret Survival Manual, and he'll say it's not for serious survivalists, and that's okay. I still like the book. But he talks in there about how there's 2 kinds of people. There are those that assume other people are going to sacrifice for them, and they would never sacrifice themselves, and they just expect that other people are going to, basically do all the work and all the dying, okay? And then there are those people who know that they may have to die and that they're going to have to sacrifice to help save the group. Those are things to consider when you remember the phrase, many pay for the sins of the few. Some people in your group are not going to care, and they are not going to listen to you, and they are going to get people killed. So you're going to have to find a way to deal with that. And it's a hard choice to make sometimes as to how you deal with that. Other people are a real asset, and that's where the phrase, many were saved because of the actions of one comes into play. We've all heard stories about how, one guy drugged a certain amount of people out of harm's way, or saved a certain amount of children from a burning building, things like that. One man saved many, stuff like that. That's the flip side of that coin. So when you're putting together your survival groups, or when you're looking at yourself and you're building yourself up as a survivalist, you need to consider these phrases. Are you the kind of person that's going to make the kinds of mistakes that get people killed? Or are you the kind of person who, by having around, the group's chances of surviving have gone up substantially? With that being said, anyone can make a mistake, and people will make mistakes when they're hungry, when they're cold, when they're tired, when there's a lot going on. The fatigue sets in, you lose some gross motor functions, people make mistakes. But there's a difference between making a mistake and you're trying to do the right thing and just not caring and your sins getting people killed. So when you find yourself in a survival situation, this may be the topic of a conversation you have to have with your group. As you're assigning out whatever roles people have. Some people have to cook, some people have to clean, some have to hunt, some have to pull fire watch and security, some are mechanics and all that. These phrases come into play even for that. You don't want to put somebody on fire watch who's going to fall asleep, who does not care. I've been in that situation. I got stuck in a fighting position in Iraq with this guy who did not care, and he kept falling asleep, and I had to stay awake and pull his fire watch, and it was horrible. All right, he didn't care if he got shot and if I got shot with him. And you wouldn't think guys like that would be in the Marines, but they're there. They're in every branch. So take some time, go out into the woods and ponder the phrase, many will pay for the sins of the few. And write down some of your thoughts. Think about how you're going to respond to certain scenarios where this is the case, all right? Think about these things ahead of time so when they happen, you can better deal with them. Another phrase I really like is win before you enter the arena. And I'm borrowing that from a Navy SEAL that's on YouTube. He talked about winning before you enter the arena. And that should help make sure that many don't pay for the sins of the few, okay? We want to limit the damage. We want to maximize survivors. We want to make sure everyone gets to come home and eat pizza rolls and all that other good stuff. So yeah, we want to make sure that people don't pay for the sins of others because we don't want there to be any sins. We don't want anyone making mistakes. Are people going to make mistakes? Yeah, probably. I can almost guarantee it. But by learning how to win before you enter the arena, that's going to hopefully minimize the damage. So, as I said, think about this, ponder on it, go spend some time in the woods, and feel free to come back and leave some comments in that. As always, I really appreciate you viewing. It means a lot to me. I hope that these videos help you out. And Semper Fi, and God bless you all. Take care.